Hello, welcome to Virtual Engage 2021 with Ascentus. This session is going to cover reporting and analytics in time. Please meet your Ascentus team. My name is Jeff Marquardt. I'm an implementation consultant on the professional services team. I have been with Ascentus for about 2 years, and I have over 6 years of time experience in the industry.
My name is Jeff as well, Jeff Crothers. I've probably spoken to you guys on the phone once or twice before. So I'm an implementation manager within the professional services department. About me, I've been with Ascentus for about 3 years. And really with the Timekeeper application, I've been involved with that for around 10 years. So you got Jeff and Jeff, you can't go wrong there. We appreciate everyone's time as we jump through this, and hopefully we give you some good information about the report engine. So Jeff?
All right, thanks, Jeff. So some quick reminders as we're going through this session today. We want you to please ask questions. We want to hear from you, see what other pieces that we don't touch on that you may want to have us expand on. So there is a Q&A tab in the session. You can enter in your questions. So please don't use the chat tab within the meeting, but use the Q&A tab. And then Jeff will be standing by to answer questions, as well as we'll have other time subject matter experts as well to help facilitate this training. So here's the agenda we're going to cover today. We're going to go into identifying the report you need, because from my experience, some of the people's kind of hesitation with reports is just not knowing which report they need or where to go for that. So we're going to cover that, as well as which exports can be supported from our system. Do you need to see a CSV or a rich text file? What can you get out of the system? And we'll also go into some of the different filters we have, making sure you understand which options you need to run the report best for you. And then we'll kind of focus on the date range selection as well, and talk through how you can make sure you're getting the correct data you need depending on what your reporting needs are at the time. And then we'll go into actually publishing a report. So this is how you can kind of save your parameters that you choose for your organization, and then set this report up so that you no longer have to keep choosing those same filters and options. That published report will save that information for you. Then we also go into how you can schedule a report. So if you need to run the same report, every day or once a week, whatever that may be, we'll show you how you can schedule that report so that you don't have to go in there and actually run it yourself. You can have that report sent at a designated time. And then we'll go into some of the stored reports. So this would be some of the larger reports that take a little more time to run, and how you can find those reports where they're kind of housed within the system. And then the last piece we'll do is we'll touch on what you can do with the Excel reports kind of at a real high level. The most commonly used report is Excel. And so we kind of want to show you how you can do that, how you can do some of the formatting and manipulating yourselves.
All right, Jeff, thanks for the agenda. Let's go ahead and jump into it. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen here real quick. All right, so here is the Timekeeper application. Again, Jeff and I are in a kind of a demo database. So some of the data is not 100% up to date. We got quite a bit of data in the background. So you'll see us kind of adjusting the date ranges as we go. So kind of the first item on our agenda was, hey, I'm new to the software. I go to reports, I go to report generator, and I'm kind of hit with hundreds of reports that I can choose from, right? That's kind of, as Jeff mentioned, that's some of the common feedback we get. So, time and attendance has, 20, 30 reports, labor costs and human resources. How do you identify where to even begin? So what I like to tell people is, let's first of all just decide what type of report you're looking for, right? So are you looking for more of a time report? Are you looking for dollars associated with hours worked? Are you looking for more of a human resource type reports, a human, an employee listing, etc.? So the first item is to identify what type of report you want. For this example, and for those of you who have spoken with me, you'll notice that a lot of times I jump over to labor costing, right? So I'm going to go ahead and open up labor costing. It doesn't necessarily mean, hey, it's always money associated with it. But a lot of times I'll rely on labor costing reports, and we'll go into some of the reasons behind that. So I've identified I want a time report. Next question, ask yourself, do you want a detail report meaning, hey, I want to see every punch for every transaction that employee had, or do I want more of a summary report, maybe a summary by week, summary by day, summary by month, right? Not so much punch by punch, but more of a summary. So that's kind of the next step is identify, do I want a detail or do I want a summary? So if it's a detail, you're going to be looking for, time card might be in the description, detail may be in the description. And I'm just going to go ahead and click on detail report.lc. And you're going to see it jumps over to this properties tab. Every single one of our reports has a nice description provided by the R&D department, right? Kind of gives you a high level, hey, this is what it's going to contain. It may say, yeah, that's not what I want. Yes, that is what I want. So just know that every report in here has a description. And as well, you can kind of jumping back and forth. If I just click on the overview tab, now it's showing me labor costing. It's going to give me a description of every single report. So I don't necessarily need to go report by report. I can go by category, and it'll give you kind of an idea. For today's purposes, I'm going to nominate the summary report.lc. So that's going to give me a summary of hours. And now Jeff's going to go ahead and kind of talk about some additional options for getting that data out. So Jeff?
So yeah, I wanted to talk about the different ways we can output this information out of the system. So as we expand the output format section here, we can see the available choices we have here. And so what this option allows you to do is decide what you may need to see this report in. So if it's something you want to, just kind of view in a nice Adobe format with a PDF, you can choose that. But some organizations may have a requirement that you need to have this as a CSV so that you can, send that information to another system, for instance. Or the other possibility is Excel if you need to manipulate the data, using the functions available within Excel. So you can see the different options that we have available here. And by default, the report always starts at Adobe PDF. So when you go into creating a new report, it's going to it'll start with Adobe, but you have the availability to choose one of these different output formats, really depending on what you need. So again, you may need to have CSV for an import into a different system, or you may need to create it in Excel so that your team can manipulate that data as needed.
Good information there. Just a couple of call outs there, team. Adobe PDF, and you'll see this as we continue to go on. It's going to give you the nice finished product, right? Subtotals by, your primary sort items. Excel is going to be more row column data, as Jeff was mentioning. CSV, again, very accepted format. One of the newer formats you'll see in some of our reports, not all of them, just a handful right now, is the XLSX format, right? So that's the newer type of Excel where you don't have the cap of that 65,000 plus lines that the older version of Excel has. So we have added that to a few reports as they come up. We've been adding that. So just a couple of call outs there, Jeff. Anything else on the output format?
No, I think you covered it pretty well. I think that's
all right,
good.
Perfect. All right, let's just keep going on though. This is another common area. And again, team, a lot of times, all of these reports are going to have the exact same options, right? You're going to have different outcomes, but description, output format, primary filter, etc. All of our reports are going to be very similar. So let's talk about the primary filter versus the additional filters. This is very important to ensure the proper data that you want comes out in the report. So primary filter really focuses on employee demographics, right? So I can filter by one employee, I can filter by last name, I can use group filters and say, I want anyone that's assigned to department, 3005. Oh, let's just pick 3000, right? And move that over. Now, when the report engine runs, right, the important thing to know is this shouldn't be a report to show me hours that were worked in department 3000, right? Because what you'll see is it's only going to look at 14 employees, right? If you're looking for all the hours worked, employees may have transferred via the mobile app, via the website, via a traditional time clock. You really still want to look at everyone. So that's the big call out there is primary filter is looking at that employee info page and saying, hey, who's assigned to 3,000, and just run the reports for them. Okay, so that's kind of a big call out, but to what I was saying, employee demographics, hey, show me all the hours for pay policy, 1, 2, or 3, or show me people that are assigned to a particular shift number. Again, really referencing that employee info page, right? Versus the additional filters, and these are going to be time driven filters. So I still have the exact same options from a work group structure, department, right? But when I select department 3000 here, this is an important step, is now I say, hey, look at all the employees in the database, and anyone who has time allocated to department 3000, I need that on this report. It gives you a better picture, but you'd be surprised how many calls we get after the fact where they've been running a particular report for some time and saying, oh, all the hours aren't captured, and it's because of the use of the primary filter versus the additional filter. So additional filters looks at every single time entry for the value you selected in the filter, and primary filter filters the report engine based on that employee info page.
All right, thanks, Jeff. Good information there. So the next piece that I wanted to speak to was the date range. So when you run a report, you can see all the different choices you have here for running or picking the date range that you need. So this really comes down to, what data are you looking to get out of there? So, or what time frame of the data would be a better way to phrase that. So up above, Jeff was kind of defining, okay, what do I need for data? In his example, we're looking to get that 3,000 department, anybody who had hours in that department. But now down here in the date range, we're looking to define, okay, what range of that 3,000 department do I want to get information on? So you can see the different choices of, today, yesterday, current period. So it really comes down to what you're looking to get data from. We also have the ability to, do the entire month at one time. And then my favorite feature down below is the custom piece where you're able to actually choose specific dates. So if you, for whatever reason, wanted to know, what were all the hours, maybe following a holiday, for instance, you could just, pick out one specific day and kind of return data around that. So you really have a lot of flexibility here of what you're looking to get data on. Depends on, again, what your need is when you're running this report. We have all the different choices, but it's really driven by what you're looking for.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Just somewhat of a fairly new feature, this rolling days. Again, I need hours for the previous 14 days on a rolling cycle, right? So it would be something like this, right? Minus 14 to the day. So that's somewhat of a newer feature, just calling that out in case it wasn't there when you went through implementation. That's been pretty powerful as well for that. So a couple of housekeeping items here real quick. You'll notice we've skipped over a few categories, right? So just to show everyone what contains in there. Data selections, again, these are going to be the columns. Hey, I want it by pay code, reg hours, OT1, OT2. I don't want pay on this report. Well, it's labor costing, so it wants to add pay, but you don't necessarily have to have pay, right? So we can remove those. And I'm going to go ahead and remove that additional filters as well, just by clicking on the default button here. So that way when we go to run. So just to show you, the ones we're focusing on are the ones we historically have seen some challenges with. Let's go ahead and choose that date range back. Like we were mentioning before, this is a demo database. So we're going to go back to, I believe, the year about 2019, right, Jeff?
Yeah.
Let's just January. Let's do all the month of January real quick for 2019 as we talk about some additional options here. There we go. All right, so, again, we're going to be bringing this data out. We have no filter set up. There's our columns that are going to be on the report. For those that are Excel people, again, we're dumping this in PDF first, and we're going to talk about the primary sort. So the primary sort, I always refer to it as kind of subtotals in Excel. Like, where do you want your subtotals at? So right now, it's going to give me a subtotal by company and then by department. You'll notice the employee is not a part of this. You'll notice the date is not a part of this. So there are options here on the left-hand side, but let's just go with this because we see this a lot, and we're just going to hit preview. Again, only thing we've done to this report is adjusted the date range, adjusted the data selections for the columns. I'm going to hit preview. And again, it's going to bring up that PDF. It's going to give me subtotals by department and by company, right? And then there's our different pay codes. There's our subtotals. Oops. There's our subtotals down at the bottom. And again, company is going to have that subtotal here as well. So we see this a lot, right? We see, hey, I really need this report to be a little bit more condensed. I mean, it's a summary report, but it's still 3 pages long, right? So know that we have some options in regard to that. I just don't like how it's showing these 2 pay codes, and I really want to focus just on that 0 work hour. So if it's something I want to filter on the timesheet from before, where do I go? I go to additional filters, not primary filters. So I'm going to go to additional filters. I'm going to go to pay code, and I'm going to filter for just 0 work hours. But notice, if I want to see all the PTO that was taken in the month of January, I could easily filter just for PTO hours or holiday hours. Any type of hours, pay code that are on the timesheet, I can filter this report for, even though it's in labor costing, right? So multi-purpose, this report. So 0 work hours is how I'm filtering. I'm going to go ahead and collapse additional filters up. And I'm going to go ahead and preview again. Now, again, it's not going to be very condensed because all I've done is filtered for that pay code, but you're going to see it's just 0 work hours here, right? And then subtotals by this. Now, if it's only 1 line, the subtotal is not making a lot of sense, right? It says the number here, it says it again, right? So what I'm going to do is move this department into a column. So it's going to go in front of pay code here. And then I'm just going to subtotal by company. So let's go back to properties. And just talking on this starts getting into a little bit more options. So it's in the additional options. So again, what we are wanting to do is move that department into a column, right? Really condense this report up. And where that's going to be seen at is in the additional options down here. It is letter D as in David. And what it says is number of primary sort items shown as columns, right? So it's going to, if I select 1, it's going to take the bottom one, which is department, and put it up in the column. If I select 2, it's going to remove everything and put everything in the column. And I don't think that's what we want, although I'm going to show you just what it does. So let me go ahead and preview this now. You notice the last one was 3 pages long, right? So now we have 1 page by company. There's our department there, and it's really nice and condensed. And hey, it's a half a page, right? Print that off, throw it up, email it out. It's 1 page, it's condensed, it looks great. Same goes for adding the employee or adding the work date, right? You don't want to make this report so long where it becomes difficult to look at. So if I put in the employee and the work date, right? My sort item still shown as 1, which means the work date is going to be in a column, and then it's going to subtotal by employee. So hit preview here. This is going to be a little bit more data. I don't think there'll be a lot of data for it to process, but let's just see. So again, there's our 3 that were in the primary sort, right? And again, demo database, scrambled names. That's really not the employee's name. But there's our work dates, right? Every work date in January and has the subtotal by the employee. So pretty powerful tool to know about that sometimes gets overlooked. It's just the ability to flip those into columns. You'll see a lot of other options and additional options. We're not going to cover every single one here. Just wanted to kind of call that out because we do get a lot that, oh, I've been running this report for 2 years, and you show them this option and they're like, oh, it's perfect, right? So just take note of that. I think Jeff's going to talk about some other options as well. So let's pass it over to Jeff.
All right, great stuff there, Jeff. Thank you. So what I wanted to chat about here is the ability to publish these reports. So as you saw above, when Jeff was going through there, he was defining the different pieces of the report he wanted. So he was saying how he wanted to see it exported, that format, and then he was drilling into the different parameters and the different options available to, get that data the way he wants it to. So he was up there choosing, various selections, maybe you're defining the pay code like he was, or specific departments. So when you preview that report, if what you see then is exactly what you want, then you have the ability to actually publish this report, which will be the same as like saving your parameters, saving the options that you have picked for that report. So you can then determine the name of the report you want, something that makes sense for you. So you can always find it. So when you look for that report to run it, you can know the name of it. And then down below you can see the publish to. So this is where who you make this report available to. So you have the option of just creating your own report that you're going to run as you log in each time, or depending on your organization, if you're in HR or payroll, maybe you need to create a specific report that each supervisor needs to view, once a week or once a day, depending on your needs. You have the ability then to send that to all supervisors, everybody who has that role of supervisor as their access group, as well as you have the ability then to choose specific users in the system as well. So if it's maybe I don't need all supervisors, but I need these 3 supervisors, you can choose them from the list as well. Again, it just depends on what you need and who you need to send this information to. So once you've set up all of your parameters and your filters and got the format and the layout the way you want, then you come down here, you publish this report to whoever you need to send that to, make that available for them, for yourself or for specific users. And then you see up top here, once you publish that report, it's going to go up here under the reports here. And the public reports are those that are available to other users in the system. Below that are reports that are specific just for you, that you've created for yourself. All right, so now what I'd like to talk about is scheduling this report. So earlier, again, we talked about how we can set all those parameters that we want, get that report exactly how we would like it, and then we're able to publish that report, in essence, saving it as is for us to view. But the next option I want to show is actually scheduling that report. So instead of coming in here each time and then searching for that report up in our published reports and then running it, we can actually schedule this report to have it delivered to us on a specific timeline that we choose.
So thanks for that intro, Jeff. What we need to do to schedule the report, again, it's up in the public reports. Meaning I'm not the owner of this report. I need to click on this red plus, right? And when we click on this red plus, it's going to open up all of these additional options where I can adjust the date range, etc. But the other thing that I can do is schedule the report. So let's just talk about it real high level. We do have 2 options right now in this database. Email is the only option, but we can 100% send it up to an SFTP. We say, do we want the report scheduled? Do we only want to run it once? Do we want to run it periodically? So let's go ahead and just say we want this report every Monday, right? Let's just go with that, right? So every Monday, I'm going to go ahead and choose those dates. Take note of the time zone that's supported, right? So know what time you're scheduling this report. So let's just say we want this report for 8 a.m. I'm going to go ahead and type in 800. That's going to convert to 8 a.m. Central when I hit save. And that's going to run this report. Then I get a list of users or by access group. Who do I want to send this to, right? Now, historically, what it's been is if I want to send this to all the supervisors, right? Let's just go off this theory. I'm going to send this to all the supervisors. What that would do is would send my rights, meaning I'm an admin of the system. I see all 241 employees. That's going to send all 241 employees to each supervisor, right? And remember, you might have pay information on there that they shouldn't be allowed to see except for their own employees. So that was kind of a gap in our system that was identified a few years back. So what we've done is added this impersonation mode, right? So now as an admin, I don't have to create 20 different reports for each department. I just come in here and I select run the scheduled report in impersonation mode. And you notice it reset, so I have to bring this back over. But once I set this, right? What it's going to do is it's going to go to each supervisor and say, all right, Supervisor Jeff M., what employees are you allowed to see? Let's say Jeff sees 5 employees. It's going to run that report and only send them those 5 supervisors. And let's say we're including dollars and Jeff's not allowed to see dollars. It's going to exclude dollars from that report. It really is like Jeff, the supervisor, came in, ran the report himself, and got the information. So again, I can send it to all my supervisor at once, and the system is going to methodically go through and say, for each supervisor, what are their rights? What employees do they see? Do they have access to dollars? And send it out just like they ran it. So it really is a time saver from an admin perspective to do this. Again, you could do it by users as well, but it really allows for like exception reports. Hey, send out an exception report at 8 a.m. Show each supervisor their own employees who has a missing punch for the previous day or who's tardy, etc. So pretty powerful option that was added here a few years back. I think it's underutilized and maybe it's because it's just not well known. So I wanted to call that out. And again, kind of the little thing here is email message. What do you want to contain in the email message? Again, it's going to have some standard text without this. You could type in a email message if you wanted to. So as I was sitting there working, again, it's going to reset when you do things. So I'm going to go ahead and come up here, tell it to run periodically. And then the save button for that is right here. All right, so let's talk about another issue, Jeff. I'm sure you've seen it with your clients you went through is every time a user comes into the system, we've told them, hey, come up here, it's in public reports, and they want to change the date range, and they click on this plus, right? And then they click on the plus, they change the date range, they run it, they come in next week, and what do? They come up here to the exact same thing, report under public reports, and they click on the red plus and they change the date range, and they continue this throughout the life cycle, right? And we'll get a call in support, and the message will be, why do I have the same report listed so many different times, right? The only thing you need to do is click it one time at the very beginning and change your date range. From there, it's going to be underneath your reports, right? And you can adjust the date range as you need to. You don't have to click on that red plus every time. This is minor compared to what we've seen. We've seen hundreds of the same report published multiple times to the same user. So take note, that red plus is really for the first time. Now you may have to click it again, right, Jeff? If you're messing around with the filters and you kind of corrupt the report and you can't get back to where it was, well, then we're just going to go to overview. We're going to locate the report and we're just going to delete it, right? We're going to get it cleaned up, and maybe I have to delete all of them, depending on how bad the issue was. And then I can go back up to that public reports and publish it down and then start over, right? So that's what it's there for. It's for a clean starting point when it's needed. And just note, you can go to the overview tab, view all of your reports, delete them as needed, and stuff like that. So I think Jeff's going to talk about, seeing some scheduled reports, things like that. But Jeff, you want to take it away?
All right, thanks, Jeff. Yeah, some great information there. I wanted to touch on a couple pieces. So the first piece being that tab up top called stored reports. So sometimes when you're running some of these reports, often it can be like a end of year report where you're gathering a bunch of time data, for a lot of employees over a large date range. That report can take some time to kind of churn through all that data because you're looking at such a massive amount of data. So in that case, the report will come in here into this stored reports screen here. So this again is where if a report is going to take, 5-6 minutes to run, it's going to just do that process in the background so that you can continue working within, Sentis time while that report is being built for you. And then once complete, you'll be able to come into this stored report section and find that report and then view it in whatever format that you created it in.
Okay. And just one little call out, 5 or 6 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, right? It's going to send an email to the user that initiated it to and letting them know that the report's ready. And this is where you'd come and and download it from. So
Yeah, great. Thank you. Good point. So the next piece is, okay, earlier Jeff showed you how to schedule that report. So now your question is, well, where do I find that report? So if you see here, we go to the hamburger menu, down to reports, and then events. And this will list our scheduled reports. You can see we set up one earlier here for a detailed report to be run every day of the week, and it's just scheduled for 9 a.m. in the morning. Or it looks like, yes, 7:43 each day. So this report then is just going to run and be sent here each day for you to view without you having to run it or choose any of those parameters that we went through earlier. Just come into events, find the report title that you're looking for, and then open your report.
Good information. So this screen is going to obviously grow, right? It's going to show you completed. It's going to show you scheduled. It's going to show you failed. If for whatever reason it fails when it's running, and if you're throwing it to SFTP site, maybe it couldn't connect there. Lots of various reasons something could fail, but it is going to list that out there. And you can run it on demand. If I didn't want to wait till 9:43 a.m. to run this report, I can just hover over it, tell it to run now, and it's going to go ahead and start that report, right? It's tied to the criteria that's on the report. And just one other thing to talk about, we like that custom date range, right? But when you're scheduling reports, and let's just go back to our labor costing summary where we started, you really need to choose a dynamic date range, because if you don't, it's always going to be this report. So if I schedule a report and I had January 1st, 2019 to January 31st, 2019, if I have that and I schedule it to run every day, it's going to be that same date every time, right? So if you're scheduling reports, more than likely you're doing all the options above the custom, and the custom is going to be more of a one-off where it might go to stored reports, as Jeff was talking about.
Thank you, Jeff. Before we move on to the next section, I just wanted to call out a quick reminder to go ahead and please ask some questions. We want to make sure that we're getting you the information that you're requiring, especially as you're looking at these videos. If something comes up you're not sure on or just like a little more clarification on, go ahead and enter in those questions into the Q&A tab, and then me and Jeff or some other technical resources will help get those answers for you.
All right. So let's go ahead and talk about Excel real quick. This is going to be very high level, everyone. We don't want an Excel lesson or anything like that. But again, I want you guys to be aware why we choose to do the row column exports and how powerful just the newer versions of Excel can be. So I'm on Office 365. Really, anything Office 2007 and above are going to have these options. Well, let's go ahead and just flip this output format. So I'm going to choose Excel would work, XLSX would work, so would CSV. This is kind of my go-to, but again, lead and zeros would sometimes get dropped for this, but just keep in mind Excel, CSV, XLSX, either of these would work. I'm going to go ahead and take the payout like I had done previously. And I'm not going to filter for pay code this time. And I'm going to choose that date range that I had chosen earlier. We're going to go back to 2019. There we go. And then the primary sort, again, I'm putting this information into Excel. So I probably want to throw out more than I actually need. So I'm going to do employee, work date, week ending. And I think that's sufficient right now. So again, all three. And I'm going to go ahead and preview that. So again, it's going to open up in Excel. Depending on what browser you're using, you're going to see mine jumps up to the very top right-hand side. Once I hit this, others will open up right away. It's really, however that browser is, I believe Chrome opens up down towards the bottom left, letting you know the file is completed. So no, there is some different options there. So again, row column data, right? Probably not the type of report you want to give to upper management or a board member, right? Pretty hard to read, but with just a few clicks, you can really transform this data. Again, I'm just going to click anywhere in the active data set, I'm going to go up to the word insert, down to pivot table. It's going to auto select what I want. And it's going to open up that date range, right? Or that pivot table builder. And really it's just filters, columns, rows, and values. So much like the PDF report, let's say I wanted it by company and then department, right? You notice it's already building kind of a nice looking report. And then I want to do it by, now let's just call it total hours right now, right? So again, by employee or by company, by department, gives me a nice subtotal. If I want to take it to the next level and say, yeah, I need the employees in there as well. Now you're given the employees. And of course, you could add the regular hours here, OT hours, and we'll stop right there. I know OT 2 hours maybe there, but again, this report is going to give whoever's looking at it a pretty good bird's eye of what's going on. You easily come up here and throw in a quick design for a pivot table. Subtotals are shaded. Lots of different options you can do if you want to really, make this report stand out and pop. But just know that power pivot or that pivot table option in Excel is really powerful tool. And you see it only took about 15, 20 seconds to put together. And really wherever you want it to be is going to be there, right? If you need it by, instead of employee, by week ending, right? And throw that in a column. Now it's by week ending up at the top, right? So week ending January 12th, 19th, 26th, February 2nd. Remember, we did that for the month of January. So pretty quick and easy of what you can slice and dice with a power pivot or a pivot table. So just be aware that is and will be your friend if you use that Excel function, okay? But again, don't really want to necessarily get into here's how you do it in Excel. I just want you guys to know that it does exist. The other area that exists, it is an add-on. So I'm going to come out, and these next two areas are an add-on. We're just going to talk about a real high level, is NOVAanalytics. So let me pull this over here from the other screen. So this takes NOVAanalytics, what I just did, kind of to the next level, right? So let me bring it over here. Again, all this is a pivot table, right? This is a pivot table. That's a pivot table. These are slicers, right? But it's really just an advanced filter. You'll see this plugin, right? It's called NOVAanalytics. So what this allows me to do is log in and not run the report from the Timekeeper site, but actually just pull the data that I want, right? So there's definitely some Excel knowledge that's needed when you go to run this report. But again, there's 1/1/2019 through 1/31/2019. And when I hit fetch data, it goes out to each of these tables that I've programmed in this applet to go out and grab. So it's grabbing the timesheet, it's grabbing the schedule, it's grabbing the employee table, and really just populating hidden sheets in the background and loading this in here. And then after that, since I've already created my template once, the only thing I have to do is come up here and hit refresh all. Now I haven't hit refresh all here for quite some time, so we'll see how responsive it's going to be. It's using data models to do this. And you can see, 655 records for the schedule. It's a lot of data that's getting loaded in, depending on how big your data set is, right? So you can see it's doing some calculations down at the bottom, and it's going to refresh here in just a moment, hopefully. So benefit of this, great looking report. There's my week ending dates, right alongside what I was just doing in the previous report, 1/12, 1/19, 1/26/22. But you can see this pivot table is already created for me, and I'm just doing it by week ending date. I got a little formula here to do OT percentage. There's my days of the week, and then down here I have another pivot table that's by company or by department. And job looks like, or department, and then the employee names, right? Employee names always get me because they're not actual names, but that's really all it comes down to. Just to show you how these filters work, you select 1/12, it's going to filter the data just for 1/12, right? So pretty powerful charts, etc. But every time you're refreshing this, you are pulling down quite a bit of data, especially if you're doing years, let's say a year's worth. You're going to be here for a long time because it's raw data coming in, and then it's up to your computer to be able to process what you want to do with that data. The next module, again, it's an add-on. It's called NOVAanalytics, just high level. It's an analytics tool that's built within the application. So you can see it's loaded right inside our normal menu right down here, NOVAanalytics. And all of this data is refreshed nightly. So it's not as of, it refreshes each day, and it's optimized to be used. So now you're talking a lot of data can be pulled up very quickly. So again, kind of categories, just like we were talking about, human resources, the time and attendance report, schedule report. But as you drill into each one of these, there's predetermined reports, and obviously you can build your own, but there's predetermined reports. So if I just click on daily hours analysis, let's say, that's going to query the data. And remember, I just did a month, 1/1/2019 to 1/31/2019. So it wasn't a lot of data, but you can see the type of results you get here, right? Very nice, very appealing to the eye, graphical, which you can do in Excel as well, but these are already pre-built for you. And then just to show you the power of, how much data it's pulling in, I'm just going to click on that plus and go to a new one and pull up the menu here. And I am going to open up dimensions, times. What did we do last time? We did company, right? So let's keep it standard. By company, by department. Right? Notice a trend there, right? Kind of looks like an online pivot table, right? And then let's just do some total hours. So that's a measure down here, and we'll come down to total hours and drop the measure in there. So just like that, I have a very neat and polished report. And just to show you the dates, let's do it by year, quarter, month, day, right? And I would drop that as a column. So again, where I was doing 1 month before, right? You can see how many years of data this has, 2013 to 2019. Now it is a demo database, so it's not fully stocked with hundreds of hours for every employee, but it gives you the ability to drill into each year, to the quarter, to the month, right? And then actually to the specific day if you really wanted to go that far down the chain. So pretty powerful. Jeff, what else you got?
I think that covers everything we wanted to today. This was really good. And again, thank you everybody for watching our demonstration. And please don't forget to add some questions into the Q&A tab.
Yeah, and I think we'll hang out a little bit here after this. So we'll go ahead and get ready for some questions. I hope everyone enjoyed it, and thanks for your time. And we look forward to next time. Maybe we'll actually be in person. Who knows, right? But we'll take it from there. So, Lucy, back to you.